over the line to Category 4. The main message with Helene is that the impacts are happening. They're coming. You've got a powerful hurricane that's strengthening and speeding up as it moves towards the Florida Big Bend coastline. So it's going to be a really dangerous situation that's going to play out over the next 12 to 24 hours, not just for Florida, but well up inland into much of the southeastern United States.
And that's a great segue to my next question is storm surge. I was looking at some of the data last night, whether it be Idalia, Michael, and this is going to be right up there. I mean, it could be the top one if we get to this 15 to 20 feet. I believe Michael was 15.5 feet. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, and part of that is just the sheer size of Helene. Bigger storms move more water around. The tropical storm force winds extend out more than 300 miles from the center. So they're already starting to pile that water up along the Florida West Coast. If we get up to that high-end Cat 3, Cat 4 range, we could get up to that near 20 feet of inundation somewhere in this area here in the Big Bend coastline. That's really not a survivable situation because it's not just that 20 feet of surge. It's the dangerous, destructive wave action on top of that, especially where the eye wall comes ashore and you get those very strong winds. So hopefully folks in these areas have left. You please do want to get out if you still have time, though.
We spent a lot of time on the worst areas, but, there's a very large population in the Tampa Bay area.
Yep.
And if this does get a little bit stronger as it's going by a little bit later on the night, Tampa is a very large population. The high end, I think the last I saw was 6, 7, maybe up to 8 feet. That's kind of a dramatic impact there.
Yeah, and it does look like the stronger tropical storm force winds, those 50 knot or 58 miles per hour winds, are going to get pretty close to the mouth of Tampa Bay, and that's sort of what'll get us up to that, maybe closer to that 8 feet of inundation in that region. And that's very sensitive, one of the most sensitive spots to storm surge along the entire U.S. coastline, very heavily populated, and it's going to largely be happening this evening and overnight. So there's going to be a significant impact in the dark when people might be out and about, not see that water, not be aware. And so again, if you've been asked to evacuate, please do so now. Conditions are going to rapidly deteriorate as we go through the next few hours.
Got about a minute left. I want to ask 2 more questions. Number one, have you ever seen the state of Florida?
Sure.
67, only 3 counties not covered in a warning with a storm before?
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. I think during Irma, we pretty much had the entire state of Florida under some type of tropical storm or hurricane warning. But again, Irma, as you remember, by the time it got up here, was a humongous storm. It had a wind field kind of like Helene. And so again, it happens. You've also got the entire state of Georgia and South Carolina under some type of tropical storm or hurricane watch or warning this afternoon and into tonight. So this map shows you just the scale of the impacts of that system on the wind side. And then there's also going to be significant rainfall flooding near from where Helene makes landfall all the way up into the southern Appalachians. So it's really those 3 main hazards: the surge, the winds, and the flooding, which could potentially be catastrophic.
So a little bit of time on the wind, because that was going to be my last point here. So we have a storm that's going to be accelerating. It's pretty rare to see a hurricane warning as far north as Columbus, Georgia. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes. The last time I can recall something like, maybe this far north was Michael. Michael was a very powerful storm moving very fast. Because of that fast forward motion is going to be 20 to 25 miles per hour. Those winds are going to penetrate well inland, where it's going to be a strong tropical storm even up near the Atlanta metro area tomorrow. So going to be significant wind impacts, trees down, power outages over a very wide area.
Dr. Brennan, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for your time. I know you're busy, and then hopefully we won't see you much for the rest of the hurricane season, but it's always a pleasure to chat with you. Enjoy your day.
All right, Dr. Brennan, Tony, thank you. Our first warning weather team is tracking Helene. We're going to give Tony a few minutes to review the latest models, catch his breath after the interview, and check in with our first warning team in just a few minutes.
We'll be right back. Stick with us. At Citi, we know some days are scarier than others. This Halloween season, treat yourself at the Fall Home Sale with up to 20% off plus 60-month special financing. Citi Furniture, designed for love.
This is the place to make them feel at home. There's no place like theirs.
If you've been hurt on the job, hire Fair & Fair to go to work for you. With over 40 years of experience, we know the playbook of excuses employers use to underpay or deny valid claims. Don't let them strong-arm you. Call us.
I'm AJ Hires from Boniface Hires Kia, Melbourne, Florida, where you get up to $7,500 off new Kias or 0% financing. And Boniface Hires Kia is the only dealer to give you a warranty forever, where we've spent over $1.5 million paying out-of-warranty claims for our customers. BonifaceHiresKia.com, 1 mile east of I-95 on 192 in Melbourne, Florida, home of warranty forever. Thank you. Log on to BonifaceHiresKia.com.
Before, my fear of leakage and skin irritation felt like a nightmare. But since I switched to Tena Sensitive Care Overnight Pads, sleeping brings me joy. Its skin comfort formula acts as a barrier to help protect my skin. Plus, it has triple protection against leaks, odor, and wetness, which helps me feel secure through the night. They make my nights smoother and my days brighter.
Tena, the world's leading incontinence brand.
I've been doing this for almost 20 years in Central Florida, and the best advice I can give you, be prepared. At WESH 2, our first warning weather team works to make sure you have the most accurate information so that you can make informed decisions to keep you and your family safe. It's part of our process. Paired with experience and the latest technology, we are all here for you.
Stay with WESH 2 for continuing coverage of Helene. Download the WESH 2 app to get updates now. You're watching continuing coverage of Helene from WESH 2.
As we just mentioned, the Category 3 Hurricane Helene bearing down on Florida on the Gulf side. Here's a look at the Atlantic side. Live look over at New Smyrna Beach, where the waves have picked up despite the storm being on the other side. Helene could make landfall in the Panhandle sometime tonight around 10 p.m. Our first warning meteorologist is also tracking those feeder bands that are causing some stormy-like conditions across Central Florida. With the latest from them coming up in just a few moments. Meanwhile, Volusia County neighborhoods have already gotten lots of rain this month, and people are worried about how much water Helene will drop.
WESH News' Pamela Combe takes us to a sandbag site in Volusia County as people make their final preparations.
Well, preparations continue. You know, we had some rain a little while ago, some heavy rain, so people kind of took shelter for a little bit. But once it cleared up, they came out here again, and there's been dozens of cars just coming and going all day. They've also been working on getting this sand replenished. We've seen about a truck come about 15 times in this morning. In the last 4 to 5 hours, they've dumped about 15 loads of sand. So they are making sure to keep this good for everyone to come. And we were actually chatting with Steve over here. He's a New Smyrna Beach resident. Hi, Steve. How are you? You've said that you've had issues in the past, right?
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. My whole house got surrounded by water a couple weeks ago. So that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Just in case, because a couple of years ago, we pretty much lost our house. Had to rebuild from ground up.
And to see just 2 weeks ago with those regular summer rains that you got all that water around your home, how does it feel to know that this is coming?
Kind of freaks us out a little bit, So I don't know. It's kind of scary, So that's why we're doing this.
Do you know where you're going to be putting these sandbags?
Around my garage area, because it's low lying, and around the front doors and all my doors, actually.
Well, best of luck. Thank you so much. Hopefully you don't get any water inside your home. I know that's always the biggest worry. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. We'll be keeping an eye on things out here for the rest of the day. It has been very busy. There are also a lot of sandbags left. There is a limit of 15 bags per resident. And there are still just a few sites open around Volusia County. We have a list up on WESH.com if you want to take a look.
Sumter County is also expected to feel heavy impacts from the storm. The county has its emergency operations center fully active and opened up 2 shelters for people to safely ride out the storm.
They do expect a lot of power outages, though, as WESH News' Spencer Tracy reports thousands of linemen are already standing by.
Yeah, this is Duke Energy's biggest site here in Florida. 4,000 crews are here on standby. Now they're waiting for that storm so they can restore power. Now, just to give you perspective of how many trucks, this goes back 12 rows. And crews are currently looking at the path of the storm. They will gear up and go out when it's safe to do so. Duke Energy spokesperson says they'll be working around the clock.
Crews come from all across the country to help restore power for Florida customers. What you see here today at the village is about nearly 4,000 of them staged here, and they will all be deployed, ready to respond to power outages once it's safe to do so.
Duke Energy says this site will be operational as long as it takes until they get people's power back on. For now, I'm reporting in Sumter County. I'm Spencer Tracy, WESH 2 News.
All right, Spencer, thank you. And as Helene continues to move along the Florida coast, anyone who has not prepared is trying to get ready, of course. In Franklin County and the Panhandle, people are still boarding up the windows of their homes and businesses. Helene is expected to make landfall in the Big Bend region, and this storm has just become a Category 3 hurricane as of the last update.
And let's get what's the big gist when it comes to Category 3? Obviously, we heard you talking to the National Hurricane Center, but the difference it makes for people who may be not under the eye of the storm, Florida's West Coast, when it comes to storm surge.
Well, the storm surge, it's a huge impact, right? Whether you're on the West Coast or the East Coast, we'll see that storm surge rise as Helene does travel towards the Northeast. So on the back end of it, after it passes through Georgia, communities like Flagler County could possibly see some storm surge increase as well. But it's across the Big Bend area where the storm surge could be upwards of 12 feet. So that's higher than a basketball hoop. You can add 2 feet on top of that, and that's going to be a major impact tonight and throughout the overnight hours tomorrow.
So the other story too is, the cone and the intensity is pretty much in line with what we thought, maybe just a little bit weaker. But you heard him say Cat 4 is still on the table. For where we live, nothing's changed. We're still going to see tropical storm force gusts. We're already seeing that right now. It's going to increase this evening. We're going to watch the severe threat. We're going to watch the surge. We're going to watch the rough surf on the eastern side of the peninsula. So, these are all the ingredients, all the things you have to watch. And speaking of that surf right now, you can see a lot of white casts, a lot of sea foam spray there on the opposite side. Not where the surge is for now. There is just dangerous rip currents. The surf is going to be elevated here for a couple of days. There's a little bit of a wind down time until the storm actually either weakens or pulls far enough away from us that we're not dealing with the situation anymore. So Cat 3 now, 120 at 8, 130 is Cat 4. As we told you last night, and that's still a distinct possibility. Now, hurricane hunters are down in there. Thank you, Marquise, for just updating this here for me. As the last report, just a short time ago, before we got some brand new data, 957 millibars, 105 to 110 was the wind speed there. And they're still flying around. Several more flights scheduled for this afternoon and evening. I am a huge fan of making sure of a wobble or a turn. We have neither. We didn't have a wobble earlier today. There's the center of that storm right dead smack in the Hurricane Center's cone. So everything is being well forecasted, well behaved. And now we just have to watch that severe weather risk as this comes up from south to north. The band's going to start increasing here throughout the afternoon. And with those bands will come some squally weather, some heavy rain, and even the risk for some isolated tornadoes. Again, tropical storm warnings in play here for most of central Florida. Live radar from the Tampa Bay, putting a little line across that to make sure there's no deviation left or right. It's going right through the middle of the line. Big bands of heavy, intense rains now scraping the west coast. Far removed from the center now. This is the other component. With a very large circulation, you start developing other bands, and that's where you can get into trouble with tornadoes and wind speeds that can top easily 40 to 50 miles an hour. Look at down south, 45, 55 mile an hour winds, 50, almost 60 mile an hour winds there along the west coast of central Florida. Even up north, the winds are on the increase, as you saw, up towards Flagler County. A couple showers now developing. We get you into southern portions now of Osceola County. Fast-moving line of embedded thunderstorms here. This is headed towards Lucosi, Kenansville, Yeehaw Junction. Will continue to monitor them. Not seeing any rotation here. There's a brighter green dot, though, to the west of Stewart. I'm keeping my eye on that area to see if that changes with time as it comes up from the south to the north. With more in the storm, here's Marquise.
So I think here in central Florida, the winds are going to be the major impact that we'll see as Helene continues to travel north and east in the Gulf. But across the Big Bend area, that's where the Category 3 storm force winds will stretch from Apalachicola through Tallahassee, then even north into Valdosta, Georgia. So this is going to be a powerful system. Even after making landfall, we could possibly see those Category 3 force winds north of the I-10 corner. But here in Central Florida, tropical storm force winds, we've seen those already this afternoon with those gusty, breezy conditions. And that's what's going to be the story as we continue across the evening. Wind speeds that can gust anywhere between 40 and 60 miles per hour, with the exception being western Marion County. That's going to be closer to where Helene will be making landfall later on tonight. Therefore, the wind speeds will be a little bit greater. They could be anywhere between 60, maybe even close to that Category 1 hurricane storm strength. And we had a tower cam up a minute ago, but due to the winds, I believe they knocked the tower cam down out towards Flagler County. So even across our Atlantic beaches, we are seeing the breezy conditions play a role in the forecast tonight. Here's a look at the storm surge. I think this is going to be one of the major impacts across the western coast, where the storm surge continues to rise out towards Fort Myers, now just above 3 feet. But out across the Big Bend, we can see a storm surge possibly exceeding 12 plus feet. High surf conditions are present across our beaches currently, and those wave heights are anywhere between 8 and 15 feet as you work your way offshore. But the breaking waves, what's crashing in to the shoreline today, could be anywhere between 7 and 10 feet, and that's for Brevard, Flagler, and Volusia County. So even though Helene is on the opposite coastline, we're feeling the impacts across both of our coastlines, and inland the story continues to be the wind. We're taking you hour by hour here on Futurecast. Might have a couple feeder bands increasing your wind speeds across I-75. Coming up within the next 2 hours, we see winds gusting between 30 and maybe even 50 miles per hour across I-75 and even down into Winter Haven. Light showers there, but the chance for rain is increasing as we head into the evening, right? We see those stronger, gustier conditions surging up to 76 miles per hour for our north and westernmost communities. And you see all the rain associated with that, in which we could possibly see some localized flash floods, but the wind continues to be a story. After Helene makes landfall and pulls into Georgia, we overnight will still show those breezy conditions now from the southwest, so the direction changes. Nevertheless, the wind speeds still remain the same. High rainfall accumulation will be greatest in the Big Bend, where we could still see 5 to 7 plus inches before the night is said and done. And even into the morning, we'll have some isolated showers, stronger, gustier winds as we continue to track Helene tonight and overnight into Friday before seasonal weather is back here in Florida on Saturday and Sunday. And drier conditions return as we kick off the work week. But we return on WESH 2 News coming up after the break.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 689-260-6847. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 689-260-6847. Again, that's 689-260-6847.
When you refer a friend or family member who qualifies for Fortrea clinical study, you can get paid too. Earn up to $500 per qualified referral. Ready to do your part in helping medicine move forward? For more information, visit fortreaclinicaltrials.com or call 1-866-429-37.
airports are undergoing storm preparations, including securing outdoor equipment, tree trimming, and checking that emergency generators are working. Flight disruptions could happen, and as we have seen, delays and cancellations are already happening for people trying with flights to the southeast.
I'm headed to Belize City, Belize through Miami. We'll see about the weather and the connections. If I get stuck in Florida, my family is like 4 hours away, so maybe that helps, or maybe I just have to stay in a hotel for a couple days until I can go.
As a precaution, just check your airline and airport before you travel to get the latest updates. We also try to post those online at WESH.com.
More team coverage on Hurricane Helene is coming up at 3 o'clock.
That's right. Our team of expert meteorologists tracking Helene, now a Category 3 storm.
As we head to break, here's a look at the stormy conditions down at Key West. That camera, the southernmost point, blurry from all the rain and the winds that are hitting that lens. We'll be right back.
It's happening now at Rooms to Go. $37 a month buys you this reclining leather sofa and stationary love seat in 3 colors. Just $14.99 or $37 a month. Interest-free for 42 months. Right now at Rooms to Go.
What does Central Florida's most accurate forecast look like? It's rising before the sun to go through the models. It's forecasting changes to help you plan with confidence. It's keeping you updated as severe storms move through, from sunny skies to stay inside.
At WESH 2, we understand Central Florida weather.
That's why WESH 2 First Warning Weather is certified the most accurate 17 years in a row by WeatherRate. This is what accuracy looks like, and it's only on WESH 2 News.
The most important part of anyone's injury case is the firm you hire. You see, all law firms are not the same. Our firm has recovered billions and billions for clients. Injured, there's only one Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
This is Tony. He's your chief meteorologist and Central Florida's most accurate.
No matter the forecast, I'm always watching your weather.
From sunny skies to stormy afternoons, trust Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi and WESH 2 First Warning Weather.
It's happening right now at Rooms to Go. $34 a month buys you this 5-piece queen bedroom and your choice of finish. Just $13.88 or $34 a month. Interest.
From WESH 2.
Now hours away from reaching Florida's Gulf Coast as a major hurricane. Every minute that goes by brings us closer to having conditions that are going to be simply too dangerous to navigate.
The effects already being felt from Fort Myers.
As you can see from the camera shot here, water is coming up over the side as the water levels begin to rise in that part of Southwest Florida.
To the Panhandle.
We have generators. I have boarding up, I have supplies, I have everything.
You have to be ready at any time to say, hey, okay, this could impact me.
Yeah, we've been preparing for this storm for several days.
WESH 2 has team coverage with crews fanned out across the region and in the Panhandle as Florida braces for Helene.
And right now at 3 o'clock, Hurricane Helene is just hours away from making landfall in North Florida. Right now, it's at a Category 3 strength in the Gulf of Mexico.
Take a look at the heavy rain that slammed Naples overnight. Right now, much of southwest Florida is flooding from the storm surge, and the winds here in central Florida are getting stronger. We did have a tornado warning this morning in Brevard and Volusia counties.
Conditions really are expected to pick up this afternoon into the evening. Right now, we are waiting for a press conference from Orange County officials as the storm draws closer. We will bring it to you as soon as it happens. But for now, let's go and get you right over to Chief Meteorologist Tony Minolfi.
All right, guys, thanks so much again with the 3 o'clock update. Now that we're getting closer to landfall, we'll probably get these hourly. You can see we went from a Cat 2 to a Cat 3. And as you heard what the director of the Hurricane Center said, Dr. Brennan, Cat 4 is still on the table, potentially at landfall. And you can see now that by the time I get to 8 o'clock, it's got 120, but that may be revised northward since we're already at 120 right now. Forward speed is the biggie here, though. The faster this moves, the greater the risk there is for damaging winds into the state of Georgia. So we'll be monitoring that as well as this continues to lift north. There's the center of the storm, right dead smack in that cone. That's imperative to watch because it can kind of tell us whether or not this thing is behaving as forecasted. And right now it is. And because of that, a good chunk of Florida, all but 3 counties, remain under either a hurricane warning or a tropical storm warning. Look at the size of that eye. Strongest bands offshore. But here's the real catch, okay? You've got the core of the storm, but you got a very large circulation, so it's pulling up that humid tropical air, condensing it, and we're getting these showers and thunderstorms redeveloping, and those are the bands we're going to have to watch as they move northward into central Florida throughout the afternoon. There's the eye off to the west-southwest of the Tampa Bay area. Most folks now in that 35 to 45 mile an hour range. Even the northern fringes of our viewing area are now starting to ping the upper 20s and mid 30s for wind gusts. As you can see, a new bout of rain now pushing in and up the turnpike in and around the Kenansville area. We're going to be watching the velocity product to see if there's any kinks like we were seeing early this morning. If we start seeing that, then we'll let you know. But as of right now, not seeing any threats for tornadoes.
Thank you, Tony. That was exactly what played out this morning, right? We had that outer band of rain racing across I-95, which did call for tornado warnings across Brevard and also Volusia County. Now, all of central Florida does remain under a tornado watch. This is going to be valid throughout the evening, and we might see that extend as Helene does make its way onshore later tonight and into the overnight hours. We'll see a couple pieces of energy, which may have some rotation associated with it. Ultimately, though, the tornado threat, it's going to increase. That piece of energy that Tony was just talking about across I-95, that'll eventually make its way closer to us, right? So from Titusville through Palm Coast, there is a low chance that we could have a spin up next 5 hours or so, but the much more widespread chance for any potential tornadic spin-ups will be across I-75 towards the Big Bend area as Helene makes landfall tonight. And then through the overnight hours, we carry that chance all the way into northern Florida, even across I-4 too. It looks like we have another feeder band, which may potentially increase rotation. So just a couple features that we'll be watching out for as we move throughout the evening and into the overnight hours. So taking a look at the county by county graphics now, our westernmost counties, I do believe that you guys will see the strongest winds, especially western Marion. We could potentially see some winds gust upwards of 70 miles per hour. That'll be a category 1 storm force wind there. Here in the centermost counties from Sanford and Seminole through Orlando here in the metro all the way down to Kenansville, we could potentially see another 1 to 3 inches of rain with those outer bands coming in tonight and into the overnight hours tomorrow. And then across the coast, rough surf conditions, rough seas are going to be expected from Flagler through Brevard and even into Volusia County, where we've had several inches of rain throughout the month of September. So any additional flooding is going to be a concern as well. So we'll continue to track these impacts. In fact, I'll have future casts timing it out hour by hour coming up within the next 15 minutes.
He's Tony. Thank you. This is video of a possible funnel cloud that was spotted in Titusville. A viewer sent us this video. We did have a tornado warning in that area around 10 o'clock today. We do not have any confirmation yet of a tornado touching down. With the impending arrival of Helene, help is already arriving from out of state into McCulloch County.
Several search and rescue crews are staging in Crawfordville, and that's where WESH's Justin Shucker is live from this afternoon. Justin.
Good afternoon to you both. Yeah, we're at a Walmart parking lot here in Crawfordville, south of Tallahassee. I want to show our viewers back in the Orlando area. These are 2 search and rescue water boats from out of state. They're with a nonprofit that responds to natural disasters all over the country. Now, this boat over here was in the water in Florida about 2 years ago in the Fort Myers area conducting rescue missions after Hurricane Ian. The guys, they're from Mississippi, from Texas and Indiana. They've come here to the Sunshine State to help out, and they're staging here in this parking lot, kind of waiting for word from the state about where to go to position themselves for this major hurricane makes landfall later today. As for conditions here in McCulloch County, we've got a light drizzle so far. We know the worst is yet to come, but the good news is help has arrived here from out of state, and these boats will likely be needed because officials, they're warning of a potentially life-threatening storm surge along the Gulf Coast in the Big Bend and Panhandle region. So again, if we can zoom out, show this boat here, these will be needed, unfortunately, here in this area of the state, as we're expecting the really bad conditions later this evening after landfall. Reporting live in McCulloch County, I'm Justin Shecker, WESH 2 News.
All right, Justin, thank you. And right now, this storm is impacting flights heading to Florida from all over the country. Just over 2,500 flights have been delayed in the U.S. today. Right now, all of our local airports are operating normally, but just south of us, Tampa International is suspending its operations. You can take a look at the flight boards for Orlando International Airport right now, and you can see majority of flights are on time, but we have had 42 canceled flights. 12 have been delayed.
Port Canaveral is now closed. The U.S. Coast Guard captain of the port has set hurricane condition Zulu and has ceased all waterside and vessel shoreside port operations until further notice. That means no cruise ships or local boaters will be able to dock at the port today. Cruise ships that are set to dock at the port tomorrow will be delayed. Anyone planning to sail tomorrow or Saturday are urged to contact their cruise lines to confirm the ship's departure time. As Hurricane Helene gets closer to Florida, the Cocoa Police Department is reminding people in Brevard County that the causeways do remain open and do not close before a storm. The department adds that once tropical storm force winds arrive, it does become unsafe to travel on causeways and other roads. At that point, people are strongly encouraged to stay off the roads and remain safely indoors until the storm passes. Right now, many people in the Panhandle and the Big Bend area are under evacuation orders.
Governor Ron DeSantis spoke earlier today, telling people that there's just hours left to get to safety.
If you are in the northern part of the state and you have access and you're in an evacuation zone and you've been told to evacuate, you do have time to do it now, so do it. But don't wait another 6 hours, 7 hours and say, oh man, this thing looks big, and think that you're going to want to go out. That will be very hazardous to do that. Don't put yourself at risk. We have fatalities on the roadways in hazardous conditions almost every storm, and those can be avoided with proper planning.
Meanwhile, Halloween Horror Nights is canceled tonight because of the weather. Universal says tickets booked for this date will be honored through Sunday. The event is expected to resume tomorrow night. SeaWorld also just closed and will reopen on Friday. Busch Gardens in Tampa is also closed today. All Disney's parks and resorts will still be open except for Typhoon Lagoon. Tonight's Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party has been canceled. Disney says they will refund any tickets.
Hundreds of power crews from Duke and FPL are on standby right now at the Pensacola Fairgrounds ahead of the storm's landfall. Take a look at the power outages across Florida. Right now, 60,000 across the state have lost power at last check. Lee County has the most outages at 13,000. And if you do lose power during this storm, keep your fridge and freezer closed so that your food can stay cold. Unplug appliances and electronics, including internet modems and TVs, to avoid problems if there are power surges when it comes back on. But do not turn off utilities unless you suspect damage or local officials have told you to.
Meanwhile, the National Hurricane Center cannot make their cone without data from inside of the storm.
Yeah, so hurricane hunters fly through Helene with what they call a weather lab on wings to get us just accurate data. Now, on your screen, you're about to see some video from inside Helene during a mission that happened yesterday. Actually, we're going to go to
our second Hurricane Helene update for Orange County. Hurricane Helene, as you know, is a Category 2 storm, but it's expected to grow stronger later in the day. Mayor Jerry L. Demings is here to give an update on Orange County storm preps and how we are monitoring the situation. He'll be joined by our emergency manager, Chief Laura Lee Avery, a representative from Orange County Public Schools, and from two power companies, Duke Energy and OUC. Mayor Demings.
All right. Thank you, Jane. Good afternoon to all of you. We are here to give you an update. We're pretty fortunate at this time that we have fared relatively well in dealing with this storm, but it's not over. In fact, just about 45 minutes ago, we were on a conference call with the National Weather Service, and they said to us that really the most significant period of time related to this storm will continue until about 2 a.m. tonight, or in other words, early tomorrow morning. And as a result of that, what we're saying to our residents is you got to stay vigilant at this point. While we are fortunate that we're not having any direct impacts from Hurricane Helene, we do have some secondary potential impacts. Those are tornadoes. And so we want to get through that period of time. And we are still concerned, however, about the potential winds that could impact our community. In fact, the National Weather Service said that the forecast calls for sustained winds of 25 to 35 miles per hour. We're going to monitor that very closely because that is at 35 miles per hour. Our links and some of our first responding units make a determination whether or not to continue responding or not. So up until about 2 a.m. Tonight, that remains a critical period of time for all of us in our response mode. Also, they've said to us that we potentially could see another 1 to 2 inches of rain fall during that period of time. In terms of our shelters do remain open. As of about 2:30 today, we had 78 people in our general population shelters. In addition to the general population shelters, our shelters for people with special needs, they remain open. The good news is that not many people have gone to those shelters. We have approximately 10 people who are in the shelters for people with special needs. We intend to leave the shelters open until about 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. At that point, we will likely look to closing down the shelters unless something extraordinary happens overnight. The Lynx bus service is continuing. Fortunately, the winds have not picked up to a sustained level, so Lynx is able to continue operating. They are monitoring the wind speeds as we move forward. Yesterday, we ended up passing out a total of over 32,000 sandbags. So it really became obvious to us that there were people concerned about localized flooding here within this community because they took advantage of the sandbag distribution here within Orange County. There have been numerous neighborhoods, unfortunately, over this wet summer who have experienced localized flooding. Many of them are really concerned about this storm and the potential impact on their neighborhoods. Most, if not all, at this point have fared fairly well because of the precautions that our public works and our utilities have taken at this point. So we see minimal impact in our neighborhoods around Orange County. Our utility companies, they're going to report in just a few moments. We're going to ask our representative from Duke and the Orlando Utilities Commission to come forward, and they will give you some updates on their numbers. Before I call on them, you may recall that yesterday we said to you that today we would not be, for unincorporated Orange County, I want to be clear about that, we would not open our landfill or our transfer stations, and that we would not pick up the regular garbage or trash pickups today. Those who did not have the regular pickup today, I just want to remind you that on Saturday, we will go back and we will pick up those who we missed today. Tomorrow, Friday, we will have our regular trash pickups in unincorporated Orange County. Our fire rescue department has continued to be at a high level of readiness, but I did want to report that we will be dispatching about 25 of our fire personnel to the Big Bend area to assist with the recovery efforts at an appropriate time. So our community will help those who will be in need as well. And at this point, I'm going to call on our energy personnel. We're going to start with Duke. Ms. Lisa Coran will come forward, and then we'll have Janice Osani from OUC, And after our energy representatives will speak, we're going to ask Mr. Scott Howard from the Orange County Public Schools to come forward, and then we'll have Division Chief Avery from the Office of Emergency Management. She'll come up and she'll kind of give some wrap-up comments at the time. So with that, we'll go to our energy personnel at this time. Right.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon. On behalf of the 4,000 employees across Duke Energy Florida, I'm here to report that we have minimal outages as of right now, and we're standing ready and prepared to restore power to your home and businesses as quickly and safely as possible. As I stated yesterday, we have 8,000 resources strategically placed throughout the state, 3,000 of them locally nearby in Ocala, ready to respond. And as the day progresses, we realize that the increased wind gusts will cause trees to fall, limbs to fall into our power lines, creating possible additional outages. These conditions are critical to our crews being able to restore power safely. As soon as the conditions are safe enough, we will be able to get out and start diligently restoring power. In addition, with the heavy rainfall, we ask residents and visitors of Orange County to stay away, as down power lines could be hidden underneath all of the debris. Consider all lines energized, as well as tree limbs and anything in contact with the lines. Remember, electricity and water do not mix. And please report all power line hazards to Duke Energy or 911. We're committed to keeping our customers informed about the status of restoration efforts, and we will continue to provide regular updates through duke-energy.com, on social media, and encourage our customers to download our mobile app and to report an outage, text OUT to 57801. That's OUT out to 57801. Lastly, I just want to echo what the mayor said, to be vigilant and considerate of this time as the storm is still passing. Safety is of the utmost importance to us at Duke Energy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm Janice Sosani with OUC, the reliable one. I'm here to let you know that OUC is prepared for Hurricane Helene's potential impact to our service area. So far, we also have minimal outages to our service territory. As of the start of this conference, we had about 3 outages impacting about 250 customers. We'll be using our own line technicians, our own tree trimmers, and water techs to respond to any storm-related outages or issues within our service territory. Crews will work overnight as long as it is safe to do so. Additionally, we've enhanced our call outage support throughout the night. Once the storm passes through Central Florida, we'll work with our mutual aid partners to send line technicians to the Panhandle and Big Bend area. If needed, we'll also send water crews to assist. Rest assured that OUC prepares for storm season all year by strengthening our electric system, water infrastructure, and improving our outage management system. If you haven't already, please register at OUC for our outage alerts in English or Spanish by texting REG to 69682 to receive those outage updates straight to your phone. Customers can also visit ouc.com or call 407-423-9018 for additional information. Also, please make sure we have your most current contact information. The easiest way to do that is to visit my.ouc.com and log in. As always, and like everyone here, safety is very important to OUC for our customers, our employees, and our community. We're asking as well that you please stay away from down power lines. In addition to avoiding anything that's come in contact with the ground or trees, please stay away from pooled water. It can become energized and is very dangerous. Additionally, a down line that is sparking, smoking, or burning is extremely hazardous, and you should call 911 immediately. We ask our customers to keep in mind that it's imperative to keep your children and your pets monitored as well in case they're outside playing. Unfortunately, storms are also a time when scammers or cyber criminals will use natural disasters to pretend to be utility companies restoring power. They attempt to trick customers into providing personal and financial information. Please keep in mind that OUC will never ask you for payment information over the phone, by email, or by text. If you are contacted, hang up. And if someone comes to your home and you feel suspicious, and just when that happens, do not open the door, close it, call your utility and report it immediately to law enforcement. OUC does not enter a home unless we have an appointment for something like a home energy audit, and our employees and crew will always have an ID to show to you. Finally, I want to caution customers to use generators safely and never run one in an enclosed area or indoors. Always place a generator at least 20 feet from your home and never in an attached garage. Never, ever, please plug in a generator to your home's outlets because it could re-energize power lines and hurt somebody working on those lines. More information and tips, especially safety tips, are available at ouc.com/storm center, including our outage map, which is updated frequently. Please stay safe. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Scott Howard. I'm the Chief Communications Officer for Orange County Public Schools. And on behalf of our Superintendent, Dr. Maria Vasquez, we want to provide a Hurricane Helene update and share some important information to our families and our employees and community. I want to emphasize that our students, their families, and our employees are always first and foremost on our minds when we make decisions. After consulting with our safety and emergency management team and based on the National Weather Service forecast indicating considerably reduced winds by 5 a.m., all schools will reopen tomorrow, Friday, September 27th, and we will resume regular operations. All extracurricular and after-school activities will resume on Friday as scheduled, unless determined by the school that they need to be rescheduled or canceled. Our school district and administrators will begin addressing any storm-related issues at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, and to ensure that we are prepared for our students and employees to return to school and their work locations. We want to make sure that we emphasize that our students and employees be on the lookout for any of those hazards that were mentioned by the energy companies. We want to make sure that on their way to school or to the bus stops that they're on, or to work, that they're looking out for those as well. We will continue to provide updates through direct messaging to our families and employees, as well as social media and on our website at ocps.net. We ask that our families and staff take precautions overnight and be safe in the morning as they travel to school and work. Thank you, and now I'll turn it back over to Mayor Demings. Chief Avery.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here to help get all the messaging out to our residents and visitors in Orange County. So as Mayor Deming stated, we are just now entering the phase where the winds are going to impact Orange County. So we're hearing from the Weather Service, unfortunately the sun is out in some places, so people are going to let their guard down thinking everything's over, when in fact that may make the storm larger and create stronger winds for our area. So we ask that people stay off the roadways, continue to monitor local news media, and make sure that they're staying safe. We currently are a level 1 EOC, Emergency Operations Center activation. So that what that means is the room is packed with our stakeholders, our divisions, our different departments, all here ready, working, monitoring for any sort of response that's needed. As Duke Energy said, we expect, we're going to have, issues with trees with the high winds. I know sustained winds, 25 to 35, but the National Weather Service also said we can get gusts up to 60 miles an hour today. And again, as Mayor Deming shared, that will go through 2 a.m. this morning. So I can't stress enough that we are just now entering the phase where the winds are going to impact Orange County. So continue to be safe, continue to monitor all local media, and we'll be sharing any information as if any changes occur. And thank you again for being here.
All right, thank you, Chief Avery. Also, we have had a conference call with all the municipalities here within Orange County. All have indicated they expect to reopen tomorrow for normal business. Our courts will also reopen tomorrow. So you've heard from our school district at this point, they will reopen. So for the families who need to plan accordingly, for childcare or other reasons, we are providing this information to you at this point. I'll open it up for any questions that you all may have at this time. Okay, so it looks like we did a really good job. So thank you all very much for being here. And perhaps the next time that we're able to gather will be sometime tomorrow afternoon after we have done all of the windshield assessments of any damage around the county, any flooding, any electrical outages, etc. We will do likely another press conference tomorrow afternoon early. So thank you for being here.
All right, you have just been listening in to Orange County.
You've been
listening to Orange County, and again, the last little bit of Mayor Demings towards the end of that. They said they do have some shelters that will be open throughout the night tonight. They hope to have those cleared out tomorrow because they expect the worst of the storm to be gone. The big thing for parents, Orange County schools are scheduled to be open tomorrow.
Yeah, sorry, Kez, but we were kind of expecting that. So basically right now, they were telling us that this is the phase where they're going to start to have impactful wind in Orange County. They're staying in close contact with all the local media to get the latest weather updates, but they're reminding people to stay inside. Just remember your generator safety. And of course, if you see down power lines, to stay away and report them immediately. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Stay with us.